As Ben Franklin said, do not squander time, for it is the stuff life is made of. So we've seen that using an online tax preparation software to do your taxes is dangerous because you can have your identity stolen, you can lose money, and you will lose time. As John Gray of the New York Times said, if you value your time, then you'll hand your taxes over to an accountant. I was recently talking to a client, and she was so grateful that she had used an accountant to have her taxes done. She had used TurboTax the previous year, and it took her 2 days to finalize the return because of the research she had to do on the updated tax laws. So she was so grateful to hand her taxes over because an accountant saved her a lot of time. Paul Ryan, congressman, said that he hands his taxes over to an accountant gladly because he doesn't trust online tax preparation software. And in an article in News World Report entitled "No TurboTax for Paul Ryan," he says that he checks it himself, but he also hands it over to an accountant because he has more important matters to concern himself with. In conclusion, there was a Navy battleship that had broken down, and none of the Navy engineers could figure out what was wrong with it. So one of the officers told his captain that he knew an engineer in a local town nearby who could fix anything. So the captain told him, have him come over because we're willing to give him a try. So the officer called the engineer over, and when he showed up, he was a little 75-year-old man with a little toolbox. And he showed up with his little toolbox, set it down, and pulled out a hammer. And he started tapping around on a steam pipe on the ship. 2 minutes later, he told the officer to have them fire up the engines to the battleship. They did, and it ran like a charm. So he told the captain that his bill would be arriving in the mail the next day. The next day, the Army receives a bill for $10,000. The captain was outraged because he said, how in the world could he have charged us $10,000 for only doing 2 minutes of work? He needs to provide an explanation for this. So the next day, an explanation from the engineer came, and it went like this: $100 for the time involved to repair the battleship, $9,900 for knowing where to tap to repair the battleship. When you hire an accountant, you're not hiring them so they can save you money on your tax preparation fee. You're hiring them so they can save you money in the long run off nailing deductions you didn't know you were entitled to, saving you time, and preventing you from identity theft. Now imagine you're having a good day. You arrive home and you find open your mailbox and find the dreaded IRS letter. What do? Who do you call? You don't know because you realize that you filed your own tax using an online tax preparation software. Imagine if you had just handed your tax return over to an accountant, how safe and peaceful you would feel because it's in someone else's hands. When you do your own taxes, there's no buffer between you and the government. But when you have an accountant, there's someone who can stand as a representative between you and the government. So, when it comes tax time, hire an accountant. You'll be glad you did.
But to be treasured. God took Eve from his side, from a rib, to remind Adam every day as he felt the place where God did surgery over his side.